Okay, there we go. Um, this is the slideshow I was referring to, by the way. So I would open it up, and if you want to like take notes while you're doing it, you should be able to make a copy of it with File, uh, make a copy. I believe you should have perms for that. If not, I would take notes elsewhere. But anyways, I think we are good to begin in a minute or two. I'll just wait till like 4:05 or '05 for those of you in the East Coast or other areas, and then we'll begin. I don't see anything. It is loading. Okay, let's see. Um, entire screen. Does it show now? Okay, cool. Um, so you guys didn't see this, but like I said, this is the slideshow I'm referring to. So I would go to this. The link to it is in announcements. Um, okay. Also, all of the info in my inbox is kind of faked right now, just to prevent me from exposing anything I shouldn't be exposing. So if you see like a wall, I'm going to be demoing like a Walmart order confirmation. That's all fake info. So yeah. Um, Livestream QnA Gmail. Okay, cool. So we're going to begin now. So to start off, you're going to want to be on the second slide, the recommended Outlook account generation flow. So Inbox has a ton of different features. One of the features that a lot of people use and should take advantage of is the Outlook account generator. Outlook is a really good email service to use. There's a couple reasons why. The first one that is they do not ban very heavily, like or ever. Um, a lot of email companies like iCloud and Gmail are more trigger happy on banning accounts. Um, Whereas Outlook, like I don't think I've ever seen an account get banned to where you can't recover it. And the max amount of ban that I've seen is in SMS Verify, which you just use a one-time number and then you have the account back and it's SMS verified. So they're really good for that. They're also SMS for Outlooks are relatively inexpensive, which also contributes to them being good because you can scale up with them really easily. They also have capabilities to generate aliases. So that like you can basically turn one Outlook account that you've generated into 10, well, plus the initial one, so into 11 basically. Um, and those don't cost any additional money or anything, and they auto forward to the main Outlook. So they have a lot of good features. They're inexpensive and they're a good way to scale, and they work on every single website. Majority of my setup nowadays is Outlook dominated. Also, Outlook and Hotmail are the same thing. I'm going to say Outlook the entire time, but Hotmail is the exact same thing. So you could do that. We have generation for both. Um, no, the slide and also the slideshow link is in announcements, and I also posted it in chat, so you can view it there. Um, but yeah, so I'm going to show you how to generate an Outlook account with Inbox. Um, and so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to settings, and then you're going to want to go to captcha services, and you're going to want to make sure you have AutoSolve AI. Outlook uses a press and hold captcha. You do have the option to manually solve it, but if you're trying to scale up, you probably don't want to sit there and babysit it. So if you have AutoSolve AI or Captcha Pass or Ultimate Pass, the captcha is automatically solved. So yeah, you just want to make sure this is active. Your second step is to go to File, Generate, and you are going to see this dialog. You can pick the account type. We support generation for all these sites except for Gmail. And the reason why Gmail is there is so that you can create example usernames, and then if you want to manually go and create them by clicking the I to open the browser, you have that option. But we do not have generation for that. But anyways, so for Outlook, you're going to pick Outlook. For the category, this is just a good way to organize your accounts. You can put anything you want there. I'm going to put Livestream QnA because that's what this is related to. Um, the domain name. So like I said, Hotmail and Outlook are basically the same exact thing. So you can pick which one you want to use. There's no advantage to using either one. It's just what you want to do. Or you could use both. You could go through this dialog twice if you wanted to, etc. And then the quantity of accounts you want to create, you're going to put that number here. That's completely up to you as well. So then you're going to click Next, and this dialog is going to pop up. This is the create dialog, and it's also the edit dialog. Or it's more so the edit dialog, but they are basically the same thing. So in this section, in this dialog, you don't have to do anything, but I recommend that you first go to the credentials section, go to recovery emails, enable the checkbox, and you're going to want to paste in a list of recovery emails that you want to use. Outlook always will ask you for a recovery email after some time, and you need a recovery email to use a lot of the tools that we have and a lot of the features that Outlook offers. In order for them to trust your account, they require that you have a recovery email on it, and they'll eventually force you to add one, and they won't let you do anything until you do. So if you add a recovery email here, if Outlook prompts us or prompts you to add one during like when you're running a tool or during any time, we will automatically handle that. So catch-all domains work really well for this. Outlook doesn't care if you use a catch-all domain for your recovery email. So it's the least expensive way to have a ton of emails, and so you can use those for recovery emails. So you put your domain that you have, and then we'll just automatically generate the amount of recovery email or the amount of catch-all emails based on how many accounts you had selected to create. You can also do this on like your existing Outlooks. If you've already like genned them, but you haven't added recovery, you can do this as well. So that's going to be your second step that you should do once you get to this screen, or your first step actually. Next, I would go to browser and I would assign some proxies if you plan on generating a lot of accounts. You can use the same ISP multiple times. So that, what I mean by that is I don't mean you can make 10,000 accounts on one ISP. I mean like if you have a list of like 50 ISPs, let's say, and you want to gen 500 accounts, that would be fine because the likelihood of one of your ISPs being used a bunch of times at the same time is unlikely since we're browser based, and you'll probably only be running like 3 to 5 or maybe 3 to 10 browsers at a time. So yeah, I would select an ISP proxy here. So you would enable this field, select your proxy list, and then select the proxy. I don't have any proxies loaded right now, so I'm not going to select one, but yeah. Once you do that, you don't really need to mess with anything else. It's pretty much set. And you can just hit save, and that'll create your tasks. And boom. So I'm going to hit cancel there because I already had some accounts created. It's going to create them anyways. But yeah, so once you have your accounts created in the UI, if you enabled the automatically start generate new account tool, the generate account tool will the dialog will appear. If you didn't have that enabled, what you're going to want to do is select your accounts, go to tools, you can type in generate here, and you can run the Outlook generate new account tool. And then the Outlook generate new account tool dialog will appear. So this dialog is going to be pretty consistent across every tool we offer in the account section. For Outlook, it's going to be very similar to the Gmail one, which I'm going to go over in a little bit. But yeah, so you should become familiar with this dialog and how it's kind of laid out because it looks the same across pretty much everywhere else. So the mail task template is basically when Outlook prompts you for a recovery email, when they want you to add one to the account, they're going to have you input the email, which you already handled because you edited your accounts, went to the credentialed section, and plugged in a recovery email. But then they're also going to want to send that recovery email a code to verify that like it's actually your recovery email and to make sure that it adds it to the account. So in order for us to be able to look at the code, we need to be able to see the email. And so we can input the code in automatically for you. We have to see that code email. So let's say your catch-all email forwards to a Gmail, for example. What you would need to do is add that Gmail to Inbox, and then you would need to make sure that the IMAP status shows connected. So let's pretend like this one is it, and pretend like it says connected. Um, so then once that IMAP status shows connected, that means we're able to read the emails. But since your catch-all emails are all forwarding to this Gmail, you need to base the mail task template. What it can do is it tells Inbox that, hey, we need to look deeper into this aycd@gmail.com because catch-all emails are going to be coming into it. So, and the way you do that is by adding this email to a mail task template. If you don't add it to a mail task template, when a code is requested and we're looking for, let's say the catch-all was at aycd.io and the email is jake@aycd.io, we're looking at all your emails and we're just looking for jake@aycd.io. But if you had the mail task template selected and aycd@gmail.com was added to it, we would be looking at all your emails, but then we would also look deeper into this one, and because we know that we're looking for jake@aycd.io and that it's probably within this main catch-all email. So what you're going to do here is hit edit, and then if you don't have a mail task template created already, you can hit create, and I'm going to search for this email is aycd@gmail.com, so aycd@gmail.com, and then boom, it's here. So you're going to select it, and then I'm just going to name it catch-all. I'm just going to name it catch-all. I don't have one named that already. Yep. And then you're just going to hit save, select it, and boom. Now we'll be able to see the email codes from your recovery email because they're going to this email, and we'll know to look deeper into that email because it's a catch-all/forwarded email. So that mail task templates are applied in a ton of different areas in the program, and in like Tab Sentry and Profile Builder as well. And so you just have to remember, if it's a catch-all or a forwarded email that receives emails from other emails, you should add it to a mail task template. If it's like an Outlook account you're just looking directly into and it's not receiving any forwarded emails, and I'm not talking about aliases here at all, then you don't need to add it to a template. And even if you select a template, we're still going to be looking at your individual accounts. The template is just telling us to look deeper into the catch-all and forwarded accounts. SMS is sort of similar, but not really. What you have to do is basically make an SMS task template. And the way you do that is you're going to hit edit, create, and here's where you make the task template. So you can give it a name. I usually name it based on the account type I'm trying to gen for or handle SMS for. So in this case, it's Outlook. If I was trying to let's say generate Walmart accounts in Profile Builder, I'd probably name this Walmart if I wanted to use SMS from Inbox. You have all the providers here. You're going to select your provider. You're going to select your credentials, the number type. In pretty much all cases, you're going to do standard. Then you're going to pick app and search the app you want to use or that you're planning on getting a number from. So you might search Outlook here or Microsoft. It varies depending on the provider. But yeah, and then you pick your countries. You can pick one, you can pick two. You can do Control plus A. If you click into one of them and then do Control plus A, it'll select them all. And then yeah. So I'm just going to select a bunch, and I would always enable retry requests are not in numbers, and if you're selecting multiple countries, I would enable randomized target ordering. That basically just picks a different country every time. If you had 20 countries selected, it's not going to use the same country over and over. It's going to keep retrying with a different one that you have selected. And then SMS timeout, you can modify this if you want, but I would just leave it at 0. So yeah, then you basically have your template pretty much created. You just need to save, and then boom, you're good to go. You can select it. SMS via email is similar, but some people have their SMS numbers forwarded to an email, and if it's in a format that we can basically tell what the code is or which numbers are the code and etc., like where the phone number is, you can select a mail task template since it's going through email. And yeah, it's basically similar to the mail tab where you're just kind of telling us what emails we should be looking at to find the code. But for most people, you're just going to use the SMS via provider. And you also don't really need to mess with this unless you're using like long-term phone numbers. You want to use a specific number, you can kind of just leave this at default. So for password, you don't really need to mess with this either. This is basically saying if Outlook asks if Outlook kind of forces you to change your password, which they sometimes will just randomly prompt you to, we will automatically change it for you. And if you want to use a custom password when they prompt for it, you could write it here. If not, we'll use a safe long-digit or 16-character password when prompted. For CAPTCHA, if you have AutoSolve AI, you're going to want to make sure this is set to automatic. If you don't have AutoSolve AI, you'll need to manually solve the CAPTCHAs, and you'll select manual here. This setting you can mess with if you want. I usually just put it to 5 so it keeps retrying. There's not really any harm in doing that. So yeah, I would do that. For options, there's a checkbox to skip warm-up. So what warm-up is, basically we perform some random activity on Outlook's website. It can be beneficial for getting around Antibot, but it's not required. I would start with having this disabled. If you are having a ton of issues like with blocks, maybe try to enable it and see if that helps. But I would start with having it disabled. The move to category after success field, basically once an account is generated, when the browser status shows account generated, it will move it. Let's say I'm generating from this category, right? And I selected this category. When the account gens, it'll automatically move it into this category. And so that's what that does. If the account failed to gen, it would just stay in here. So you can type in anything you want here. You can type in like a category that doesn't even exist, like Livestream successful gens, and that'll just create the new category once something successfully happens. After you configure this, you can hit start, and your accounts will just start to generate. I'm not going to go over that. I'm not going to show the generation off during the live stream just so we can cover a lot of details, but yeah, that's pretty much it for once you generate the account. Once it's generated, what I would do is select your accounts. Also, just so you guys know, you can hit Control+A to select all, and for Mac, it's, I believe, Command. You can do Shift+click, and that'll select the first one and then everything in between the last click that you do. And you can also use the checkboxes here. You can to mass select. But yeah, that's a really easy way to mass select. But yeah, so once you have your accounts generated, you're going to go to Tools. You're going to type in Verify, and you're going to select the Outlook Verify Update Recovery Email tool. So what this tool does is it goes on the Outlook site, it looks at your account credential, and it looks at the recovery email you have saved in AYCD on your account credential, and then it goes and checks the Outlook website, and if the recovery email is already on the Outlook website, it'll say that it's verified, and if it's not on the Outlook website yet, it will add it for you and basically set up recovery emails on your account, or the recovery email on your account, and it will add it for you. So I would just do this as soon as you generate, because like I said earlier, majority of tools are only going to work properly if your account has a recovery email, and that's just a good way to build trust with Outlook. So yeah, so like enabling IMAP, forwarding, all those things, you need recovery email in order for them to function properly, or for them to even allow you to enable them. But yeah, so once you do that, you pretty much have your account and you're good to go. There are a ton of other useful tools that you can use on them, which I'm going to go over now. So we're going to be on step 3 of the live stream, or page 3, slide 3. So yeah, you guys can move on to that one. So one really useful feature I touched on earlier with Outlooks is aliases. So what an alias is iCloud has them as well, but with Outlook, you can basically generate 2 alias emails per 7 to 14-ish days, and for a total of 10. And those emails they basically are full-fledged, like they look like emails. They're all controlled by the main Outlook account that generated them, and they automatically forward to the main Outlook account as well. Um, so like a lot of you know, like I bought retail sites relatively hard, and by hard I mean like I run a ton of accounts, and you guys always are curious about how I scale up and how I have so many emails. Um, a majority of my setup is Outlook aliases because I have 1,000 Outlook accounts, um, and all of them have 10 aliases. So that's 10,000 accounts right there, plus another one account because the main account is also its own account. But yeah, you get the gist. You can basically scale up a ton with aliases. Um, so I would jumpstart since they limit you to like 7 to 14 days for to generate two. I would do that like right away, right after you had recovery email. I'd get your aliases just starting to gen. Um, but yeah, to do that, you're going to select the accounts you want to generate aliases on. Click Tools, type in alias, select the Outlook Generate Aliases tool, and this dialog is going to pop up. And like I said, all the dialogues are very similar, so this one looks pretty much identical to the Generate one. Here you select your mail task template. If Outlook wants your recovery email code, this tells us how to find it. And it's the same exact thing from the Generate portion. Same with the SMS, same with password, same with CAPTCHA. The only new section here is aliases. So in the Outlook alias quantity field, this is basically telling us how many aliases you want AYCD to gen. So I always put 2 here. For the usernames, this is basically what alias username you want to use. You can leave this blank and we will generate a random one for you, but if you wanted to do like, let's say, like you wanted to use specific ones like this, that you would just basically put each username on each line. But I always just leave it blank so it's easier to do random. Export new aliases to CSV. So one thing that can become complicated when using aliases, since you're limited to 2 every 14 days, is let's say you generate 2 on all your accounts and then you go and create Walmart accounts with them. In 2 weeks you can finally make some more aliases, so you want to do the same thing, but when you edit your account task and go to the aliases section, the old one is here, the old ones are here, and then you also have some new ones. And let's say you didn't like specifically name them, so you can't figure out which ones are which. So the export new aliases to CSV tool is useful because what I do is every time I generate aliases, so let's say after that first batch of aliases I generated, they get saved to this CSV, right? And so the first thing I do is I go and open the CSV, I copy all the emails that I generated, I go to Profile Builder, I go to my profiles, I go to the account section, and I create account tasks for them. I add them to my profiles. Even if I don't plan on generating the accounts right then and there, I just want the tasks created so that I know the aliases have already been added to Profile Builder and or my profiles or wherever I want to add them, and they're there and good to go. And then so once I do that, I go back to the CSV where the aliases were saved, and I clear out the CSV and I delete everything from it. So that way, in 2 weeks, when I go to generate more aliases, that CSV only has the new ones. And so then I repeat this process again. I go to the CSV, I copy all the aliases, I create the tasks in Profile Builder, I clear it out. So that way I am never adding duplicate aliases to Profile Builder. And I just don't have to worry about that. It's always, I know it's only new aliases that I haven't used yet are in that CSV. So I would definitely set this up. But yeah, and then in the options section, it's the exact same thing as generate, where if the task, the tool is successful, it'll automatically move to whichever category you specify. And then you hit start, it'll start generating your aliases. Um, so the next most important thing with Outlook accounts is you probably want to be able to see the emails in Inbox. You want to be able to manage them. You want to be able to do all that. And by emails, I mean like actual, like I send you an email and you can view that email. I'm not talking about accounts. So when I'm talking about accounts, I'm going to say accounts. When I'm talking about emails, I'm going to say emails. Um, but yeah, so you want to be able to view the emails. So you have two ways to do that. The first, which is the recommended way, is to run the Enable IMAP tool. And when you run the Enable IMAP tool, what that's going to do is it's going to go on the Outlook website. So you're going to type in IMAP. And there's two tools. You're going to want to use this one if it's your first time, the Enable IMAP and OAuth 2 login tool. So yeah, also you should probably wait 24 to 48 hours before you run this tool because Outlook doesn't let brand spanking new accounts enable IMAP right away. So you're going to want to 100% make sure you add recovery email, and then you're also going to want to make sure you're within that 1 to 2 day time frame. And so yeah, so you're going to run this tool. It's the exact same dialog as the past two. The only difference being this one. So what the sync mail after login checkbox does is when it successfully logs in to OAuth 2 and enables IMAP, it's going to sync your email, it's going to sync your account and look for emails. And when it finds emails, it's going to add them to the emails section, which I'm going to go over. Yeah, so this is basically asking if you want us to automatically sync your emails after they successfully are logged in and connected to IMAP. So that's optional. You can enable that if you want. Force relogging credentials, what it does is it basically resets the account and gives it a fresh login. You're probably only going to want to enable this if you're having some weird antibody issues or some issues where you need a fresh session. In most cases, you're probably not going to enable this. So we're going to leave it disabled. It's just going to add time to the task for no reason, since we're not having any issues. Move to category after success. Same thing as the last two. It just automatically moves it. Then you hit start, and then once it goes through it, it will show connected when it's successful, and that means your emails will start to populate if you enabled that checkbox, or if you right-click sync mail or options sync mail, that'll all get your emails to populate over there. So this is the most efficient, consistent, and fastest way to see incoming emails from Outlook accounts. Outlook does offer forwarding, so that's going to be the second method. It's not as recommended, but I understand that majority of bots do not have Outlook implemented into their IMAP solutions due to the fact they use OAuth 2, which is a lot more annoying to integrate compared to like Gmail's IMAP. So some of you will need, and those bots don't have the Inbox API integrated, which I'm going to go over in the next slide. But, or actually, we're just going to go over to the next slide now, because we're going to be covering forwarding, which is all this slide's about. So you can go to the fourth slide now. But yeah, so if you need to forward your accounts, what you're going to want to do is you need to first decide which type of forwarding you want to use. So Outlook has two different forwarding methods. They have enable email forwarding, which is standard email forwarding, and they have rule forwarding, which is rule forwarding. So what is the difference between standard formatting or forwarding and rule forwarding? So standard email forwarding is the recommended one if you're going to forward. A reason being is that it is much more consistent with emails arriving on time. It is also doesn't get disabled. So with rule forwarding, one thing Outlook loves to do is just turn off the rule. And when the rule's turned off, your email stops forwarding. We think they do that because they don't like fully trust the account. But you don't want that to have, like, if you're expecting your emails to properly forward, you want to make sure that it never gets disabled. So that's one of the advantages of regular forwarding is they don't really ever disable your regular forwarding, or at least they haven't for me, and I've had my accounts active for like 2 years at a minimum. So yeah, that's why I would pick standard forwarding. The only disadvantage to standard forwarding is that the account needs to be SMS verified. So that costs money, obviously. It's cheap. It's like usually 10 to 20 cents an account max. And that's not like per alias. The aliases are all included with that main account. So keep that in mind too. They're still really great to scale with. Also, Outlook will eventually force you to SMS verify anyways. So that's like another reason why I would just go with the enable email forwarding tool over rules if you're going to forward. So if you do want to use this tool and your account hasn't been forcefully locked yet, and by locked I mean where they want you to SMS verify it, all you're going to want to do is type in add phone and run the add phone number tool. And that will SMS verify it, and then you can use regular forwarding. If you don't want to SMS verify and you want to just try out rules before your account gets forcefully SMS like verify, or before they require you to SMS verify anyways, you can use rule forwarding. This one, it works, but if they disable it, then your forwarding stops. There are cases where the forwarding is slow, like a few minutes to even like 20 minutes late compared to regular forwarding. So yeah, those are the two types of forwarding. The dialogues are pretty similar. The only difference being forwarding rules. So basically, the difference between these two is this one, forward 2, is much more prone to having issues in other bots for reading OTP codes, like Walmart login codes. Forward 2, a lot of bots won't be able to read it properly because of the way that it structures the subject of the forwarded emails. So if you're going to do rule forwarding, you should do redirect 2. Yeah, that's how you basically decide which forwarding method you want to use. Once you forward your emails, I'm going to go back to the slideshow here. There are a couple of useful tools, or once you forward your accounts, there are a couple of useful tools that you can use. So the first one is the disable email sorting tool. Outlook has these on their website. They have a focused folder and they have an other folder, but they're basically, sometimes emails will go to the other folder, and you don't want that to happen. That can just cause issues with forwarding and bots being able to see and do the emails. So what you're going to want to do is go type in sort and then run this tool. This basically disables that logic and puts everything into one section on your accounts. So it's the same dialog as all the other ones. You just kind of fill it out and run it. Also, just one thing to note is that the mail section and the SMS section, they're in every dialog, but it's only there in case Outlook prompts you to do something that it relates to. So every time you launch a tool, Outlook isn't going to ask for your recovery code. But if they do, you configured it here, so we'll automatically handle it. And if they don't, it just nothing will happen. It just will ignore that you configured this. But we just have it in every dialog so that if they ask for it, we'll handle it so it's more seamless, less hands-on for you guys. But yeah, so that's the disable email sorting tool. The add safe senders tool its function is basically to prevent emails that you care about from going to the junk folder. Emails that go to the junk folder won't forward. So if you're let's say you're expecting a bunch of Walmart codes and they're forwarding to your Gmail and you have that Gmail added to whichever bot you're running, if the codes all go to junk, the bot you're using will never be able to read the codes because they're not going to forward to the Gmail because they're in the junk folder of the Outlook. So to prevent that from happening, you go to Tools, type in Safe, and you're going to want to do the Add Safe Senders tool. The dialog is identical to the other ones, with the only difference being the Safe Senders section. And here, you're just going to put the email address or domain to add for your safe senders. So what you can do to figure out who is emailing you and what to put here is open one of the emails. Like, let's say it's a Walmart code email. You're just going to open the email and check who it was sent from. And you can type in like the domain or whichever email address it was sent from. I'm just going to do some generic ones right now. I don't know if these are fully accurate off the top of my head, but this is just like some popular sites that I'm sure some of you guys bought and that you'd want emails to forward from. So yeah, you basically just type in all the websites you care about that you expect to get emails from that you don't want to go in junk. And then you hit start and it will add them to your accounts. I already went over this, but if you want to use standard forwarding, you need to run the add phone number tool. I'm not going to go over that again. But however, we do recommend that if you are using a bot that or application, something that needs to be able to read codes from your email, we recommend respectfully suggesting or encouraging that they integrate the Inbox API into their application. If they have the Inbox API integrated into their app, you don't need to ever add forwarded emails to the app. You don't need to add actually any of your emails to the application you're trying to run it with, because all of your emails are managed in Inbox. We can read all your emails, we can see all the codes, and we can basically send all those codes, any information that you need from your emails to the bot. So this, like, let's say you were running like a Walmart bot and you had 10,000 Outlook accounts and none of them were forwarded. Well, you'd be pretty screwed then because you have to enter the codes 10,000 times into your bot, and that's going to be pretty annoying. Let's say you just didn't want to SMS verify 10,000 accounts, or you didn't want to deal with forwarding this and that, but you enabled IMAP on all 10,000 of those accounts, and so you can view the emails in Inbox. If the bot you're trying to use has the Inbox API integrated, and you plugged in your Inbox API key into that bot, the bot can read all the emails without actually needing to log into your email or without needing them to be forwarded to a Gmail. So yeah, the Inbox API is really helpful for scaling up if you're using Outlook accounts. So we have seen a couple of bots start to integrate it, which is awesome, and hopefully some more do in the future. But yeah, I would, and emphasis on respectfully, just make suggestions, encourage the applications you use to integrate the API, and it'll help you scale up for less money and help you hit more in the long run. Yeah, at the end of the day, botting, it's about having a quality setup, but once you have that quality setup, scaling up helps you hit more. Obviously, you don't want to throw a bunch of trash at your setup, but if you scale up properly and efficiently, you're gonna hit more. That's the key to hitting a lot when botting. So yeah, that covers Outlook forwarding. So next we're going to move on to slide 5, what are mail task templates? I did go over this a lot earlier, so I'm going to just briefly go over it on the slideshow, but basically when you're using forwarded or catch-all emails and you want us to be able to read codes from them, you need to add them to Inbox, and then you need to make sure the IMAP status shows connected, and then you need to add it to a mail task template. So you can do it in the dialog, like how we did it in Tools. You can do it here, or you can go to the task template section in Mail and create it here. And it's the same exact dialog we went over earlier, where you select your catch-all/forwarded emails, and then save it, and then select it when you're starting Tools. One thing a lot of people don't know, and this applies to Outlook especially since you can generate aliases, but if you have aliases, so whether that be Outlook or iCloud, that's like the main one, and you have them added to the aliases section on the account, um, you don't need to add this account to a mail test template. And the API will more efficiently be able to find those emails without it being added to the mail test template. So to basically make it simple is if you have aliases added in the account, then you don't need to add it to the mail test template, and we'll still be able to find the emails and the codes and everything. So you don't need to treat an Outlook account that you generated 10 aliases on like a catch-all/forwarded email, as long as your aliases are saved here, which they automatically will save there after you generate aliases. Also, yet another thing is how do you find your aliases? It's kind of like 2 slides back, but a lot of people, I always see them asking, hey, I just generated my iCloud, my Outlook aliases. Where are they? How do I find them so I can add them to my bot, add them to Profile Builder, etc. All you need to do is right-click, edit, go to the aliases section. They're all going to be right here. Or if you wanted to do, like, let's say all of these had aliases and you wanted to export them all at once, you would type in alias in the tools dialog, export aliases to CSV, and that's going to export them to a CSV, and you can just open the CSV and they're all there. Or, like I said earlier, they're going to be into that automatic CSV saver feature that I covered. They'll also be there if you have that configured. The last thing on mail task templates is, let's say you have 5,000 Outlooks that aren't forwarded and you're just directly connecting to them to view emails, and the IMAP status shows connected. But you also have like 5 catch-all Gmails or whatever. You have 5 catch-all emails that you're using. So you have to select a mail task template because you need to be able to tell us that those are catch-all/forwarded emails. Now, even if you select the mail task template, we still look at those 5,000 individual Outlooks that are connected. We'll still look for codes in them. So you don't need to worry about like adding those 5,000 to a mail task template. We automatically look for them if they show connected. Yeah. So one question I'm seeing is, for forwarding, is there a recommended ratio to how many Outlook accounts should you forward to like one Gmail, for example? Right now I'm doing around like 250 to 1. I'm pretty sure you could push it up. Like I said, Outlook is not very strict. Like once you have your accounts generated and good, like you don't really need to do anything. Like as long as you go through the tools that I went through, you're pretty much good. But yeah, I've done 250 to 1, no issues, like forwarding 250 Outlook accounts, not including the aliases, just the Outlook, like the main accounts, to one email, and you could probably push that up if you wanted to. I just split it up so that way, let's say like one of my Gmails gets banned or like, I don't know, it's not working on IMAP, I have a bunch of other Gmails that are also receiving codes that I can like fall back on, and all my eggs aren't in one basket. Also, like IMAP credentials can get rate limited if they get a ton of traffic in a short period. So like with Walmart codes, it's really easy to hit. Like because there was a drop Wednesday and Thursday, like a bunch of my catch-all accounts are just fully fried, and I won't be able to like view emails on them through IMAP for like a day or two. But you can prevent that by kind of like splitting everything up a bit more if you're forwarding, so that they don't get as much traffic in short periods. But yeah, so that covers mail task templates. And let's move on to slide 6. So we recently added Gmail account tools from OneClick into Inbox. So Gmails used to be the most dominant email in the industry for botting. Reason being is because tons of sites used Google reCAPTCHA as their anti-bot, and in order to get good scores, like high scores and low solve times on Google reCAPTCHA, you needed quality Gmail accounts. And by quality, I mean accounts that were farmed with activity and trusted by Google, which led to them giving you either higher V3 scores or lower solve times on the picture CAPTCHA that they had, or that they have. Anyways, that is way less prevalent nowadays. Most sites do not use reCAPTCHA as their anti-bot. But Gmail accounts are still like really good emails to use on retail sites. They're a very trusted domain. They work on every website, and a ton of people have them from back in the day and still use them nowadays. Um, so but they still need to keep their accounts alive. Google is way more strict than Outlook, and if your account goes inactive, which means you don't ever like browse Google or look at images or do something that Google classifies as activity, they'll just ban the account and delete it. Um, so we made a lightweight farming tool that's super basic and not basic in like its functionality, but just like basic as in its only objective is to keep your account alive. And so that's called the Keep Alive tool. And you can run that tool every 30 or so days. And its objective is not to give you good CAPTCHA scores, it's just to make sure the account doesn't get banned. So if you're using Gmails, or you used Gmails in the past and you want to keep using them and maintain your setup, what I would do, and especially if you've used OneClick before and you're not solving CAPTCHAs anymore, I would move over your setup from OneClick into Inbox and start managing your Gmails in Inbox. We make that really easy. So all you need to do is hit import, and you can there's one or two ways you can get them into Inbox. You can do it through the one-click account CSV. So if you open one-click and do file export, it'll export to CSV, and that CSV would work with this option, and it'll just import all your accounts in. The other way is through file import one-click at Gmail accounts. What that does, and this is like the recommended option, is it goes into one. It looks in at your one-click, looks if you have Gmail account tasks, and it gives you the option to select them and import them into Inbox. And it takes the session with it, so you don't need to relog in. And so yeah, this is going to be the best way to get your Gmail accounts from Inbox into, from one-click into Inbox. Yeah, and then once you import your Gmail accounts, you can start using the tools on them. I'm only going to be doing it on one account just because these are like my actual Gmails. I don't want to docs them. Yeah, pretty much every popular and important tool that was in OneClick is now in Inbox for Gmails. So you'll see like some similar tools that Outlook has, like OAuth 2 automatic login, because Inbox's like main goal is to be able to view and manage your emails and all that. So obviously you get emails on Gmail, you can view them. And then we have a bunch of other tools that you can use: email forwarding, managing recovery email, passwords, enabling 2FA through TOTP, which is like the 6-digit code that changes every 30 seconds. We can enable that. And then a bunch of other tools: generating app password. Pretty much every bot supports like connecting to Gmails directly through IMAP, and to add them to other bots, you would want to use this tool. But yeah, basically all the Gmail tools from OneClick are now in Inbox. And if your objective is just to keep your account alive, you should start managing your Gmail accounts in Inbox. So yeah, that covers Gmail accounts. I'm just gonna look through the questions real quick because I've been kind of tunnel visioned on the slideshow. Can you explain the IMAP? So Dirk has a question. Can you explain IMAP status and browser status for Outlooks and detail how to get those how they should be? I have a ton of Outlook accounts, but every so often some of them change statuses and I have to re-OAuth, and the next day the status reverts, I assume, to the status you don't want it to be at. So for the IMAP status that you want to see is connected. That's all you want to see. There might be some times where, here, let's see, if I sync mail, you'll see right here it's syncing my mail with that yellow text. Actually, we can view that. So if you go to right-click, view IMAP logs, this will show what has been going on your IMAP. But basically, you want it to either say sync completed or connected in green text. If it's yellow, that's fine. That means it's just looking for emails. It's searching through your email through IMAP and making sure that either new emails haven't come in or etc. But yeah, you want it to be green. If it says OAuth 2 login required and it's Outlook, then you need to run either the enable IMAP and OAuth 2 automatic login or OAuth 2 login tool, or you need to run the OAuth 2 automatic login tool. One of the two. Um, if it says like I believe there's connection error, and 99% of the time that's due to using an IMAP proxy. The only providers where you need to use an IMAP proxy are Yahoo and AOL. And the reason why connection errors are more prevalent on IMAP status versus like the browser is um, most proxy companies block the port that IMAP connects to, so like that you can basically that we can look at emails through. I think they just do that to prevent like email abuse and spam, etc. But you don't need to use an IMAP proxy for Outlook. Like you can have 50,000 Outlooks, you don't need to use an IMAP proxy. So yeah, if you see connection error or something like some sort of like proxy error, you probably just need to remove your IMAP proxy. If you're not using any IMAP proxies, you might need to like allow list out or not Outlook. Sorry, you need to allow list the AYCD folders on your antivirus, or if that doesn't work, you can try disabling it to see if it fixes it, because a lot of times antivirus can cause issues with the IMAP servers and connecting to them. But yeah, the connection error and this is the only two red you should be seeing for IMAP status, and you want those green statuses to show up. If it's blank, like this one, that just means like you haven't attempted to do anything on IMAP yet. So yeah, if it's a Gmail and it's blank, this isn't going to work because I don't have, like, this isn't a real account. But yeah, if it was like, if this was a real account and I had a real app password in it, it would, when I do right click check credentials, it would just say connected. And then it's basically the same as running the OAuth 2 automatic login tool. For browser status, there isn't really a status that you need it to be at, because all the browser status relates to is what tool you were running. So, like if you're running the generate tool, the ideal status you want it to be at is, I believe it's generated account, or something that's basically telling you the account was generated. But if you ran the keep alive tool, that's going to tell you when the keep alive tool successfully ran. So that's really dependent on what tool you're using for that. And I'm going to go over this question, and I'm going to move on to the next section of the slide. Have you found the Keep Alive tool is effective for Outlooks? I personally don't think you need to use it on Outlook accounts. We added the Keep Alive tool, the one that basically emulates one-click or Gmail account farming through Inbox. We also made it so you can use it on Outlook accounts, but I don't think it really you need to use it. If you wanted to use it to like keep your Outlook accounts alive, if you like suspect that it would help, you can run it like every 2 months. But yeah, I don't think it's really needed yet. Maybe one day though. So yeah, so we're gonna be on slide number 7 now, which is gonna cover how to scrape data from your emails. One really awesome feature in Inbox is scraper templates and email scraping. So this was like one of the big reasons why we made Inbox initially was from this feature. Basically what it does is it makes it so you can create a template for an email. So the example I'm going to use is a Walmart order confirmation email. And so you're going to have two different options, standard or Scraper AI. I'm going to go over both of them. Scraper AI is easier to use, but standard, and also Scraper AI can work with certain email formats. Like Supreme, for example, is a really weird email format, and so standard templates don't work well, but Scrapers do. Same with Walmart, actually. I'm going to show you how to use both of them, and I would always start off with standard and see if it works. And yeah. Um, so like I said, this is a fake email. This isn't real. Um, yeah. So when you launch the tool, it's going to open this dialog. The dialog will be slightly different depending on if you picked AI scraper or standard scraper. This one's a standard one. So you're going to be able to pick which category your scraper templates are saved to. I made two earlier, and I just kept them in the all category, but what you could do is like name it retail or yeah, retail is probably the best one. So if you had like a Target scraper, you had Walmart, Best Buy, etc., you could put them all in this category. It's just purely for your own organization, though. You don't like you can do whatever you want there. The name, you're just going to name it what it relates to or whatever makes it easiest for you to know what it relates to. This is a Walmart order confirmation email, so I'm going to name it Walmart order confirmation. And then boom, you're done in this section. So the next section is filters. So I would always set up filters because it can speed up scraping a lot. So what a filter does is it basically, when you run the scraper template, it will first check your filters, and if an email, like let's say I just select, like let's say this was not only delivery order emails. So let's say I'm going to select my codes filter too. I'm going to go over that also later. But let's say I selected like all of these, and there's a bunch of random emails that are completely irrelevant here that I don't care about, but I just was lazy and I selected them all. If I make a subject contains filter and I do, let's say I do thanks, I just add thanks here. I add the filter. If thanks is not in the subject of the email is going to be ignored when the mail scraper templates, when you run it. So even though I selected, I think this is like 1,000 code request emails alongside the order confirmation email, it's just going to instantly ignore all of these because thanks isn't in the subject. And so yeah, so that applies to all the filter types. It's just various parameters of ways that we can either care about a specific email or ignore it if it doesn't have the filter that we're looking for. So I usually pick like 2 words out of the subject, and I'll usually do the from. The from here doesn't apply because I like made a fake email. But yeah, I'll usually do from contains, and like if this was from Walmart, I would just write like walmart.com or whatever it says in from. So now if I put a filter that doesn't make any sense, like I put cancel here, it's going to tell you that this email right now that you're creating doesn't even match your filter, so it's not going to run on this email if you do this. So you want to make sure that you only make filters that actually match up with this, that will generically apply to your emails. Because if you have like 100 Walmart order confirmation emails, you don't need to make 100 scraper templates. You're just making one on one of the order confirmations, and then you're going to run it on all of those emails, and it's going to be able to like know like, okay, this is an order confirmation, this is an order confirmation, and it's going to go through all of them with that one you created. But yeah, that's the filter section. Now the elements section is where you tell the mail scraper template what data you want scraped from the email. So let's say I want to know the order number. So what I do is I click order number here, and it's highlighted, and it's going to tell me like what I'm selecting here. But let's say I only want to know the numbers. I don't care about any of the special characters. I don't care that it says order number here. I only want the numbers. So what you do is you go to format type, and you do numbers, and you can select both of these, and boom, it's gonna ignore everything else besides the numbers, and it'll export only that. You're also gonna give a name to the element, and that's gonna like appear at the top of here. So that's the name for it. This is also like, this is what it's going to look like once it's finished, the data, but yeah. So boom, once you do that, you hit add, and you've created your first element that you're going to scrape. Let's say the next thing I wanted to know is the address. So here I'm going to type in address. I do want all of this data So I'm not going to do anything special here. You can also ignore regex AI. There are some cases where you use this, but 99% of the time, if you need to use this, you're probably just going to use an AI scraper template. So I'm not going to cover that in this. But yeah, so I want the address. I also want to know how much the order cost. So I'm going to do cost here, or order total. You can do whatever. You can name these whatever you want. This is completely up to you. And here you could do price if you wanted to, and like let's say like you had to select a lot of info. I can't really get this to select it all, but yeah, here we go. So let's say like this was the only way you could select it, but all you care about is the price. You could do that, and then it'll only pull the price. But yeah, so you could do that, and that'll get the price. And you also want to know which account email this order relates to. You could do extra fields, and this has a bunch of other info that we can just automatically pull from like the IMAP side. So I'm going to select the to email as well. And Walmart's kind of annoying because they don't put the item name in the email. So what I usually do is I figure out what item it is based on the price. And then I'm also going to scrape the quantity. So I'm going to do, for this one, I don't want it to say see all. So I'm going to do text word. And that kind of like breaks it all down. I'm just going to do 5. Or I'm going to do 5 items. Because I also could have just done numbers and it would only show me the 5 options. I'm going to do quantity here. And then boom. So I'm going to be scraping all this data from my emails or from my order confirmations. And that's all the data I want. So the next option you have is the ability to configure a webhook format. And so what this is basically you can set up a style of a webhook that has this data in it that you're scraping, and you can make it so that it sends you a webhook with the data. This is optional. This is more so like if you just want to see the data in Discord, or like you want to get a notification that I don't know. A lot of bots use webhooks for checkout success, obviously. So a lot of us like to see those webhooks, and basically this just makes it so the data comes through, sends via webhook to your Discord channel or wherever you're sending it to. So yeah, you can set that up here. You can basically, the data key is the element like name, and you can just pick which elements you want added there. If it's like a shared Discord channel, or like you're trying to flex the webhooks or something, like if it's some like wins for like a raffle or something like that, you can spoiler like certain important information. Like you probably don't want people to know your address, so you're going to spoiler that. Maybe like the order number, etc. But yeah, you can set that up there. And then anytime data is scraped, it'll also send the webhook. The inventory section, this is where you can enable automatic inventory scraping. And so how this works, and I'm going to also go over inventory later, is let's say like this was a shipping email, and so the tracking number is in it. And you also had a bunch of other relevant data that applies to like an inventory item, like the product, the total, the order number, etc. But the tracking number is the main one. What you would do is you would enable this checkbox and click this button. And this brings up a dialog that you can basically map the various elements that you're scraping to various inventory item fields. So like this one, for example, I have configured to automatically send already, and I'm scraping the name of the item. This is for a shipping email, so it does show like a brief summary of the name. But yes, you can. I have the name picked. I have quantity. I don't have item cost, and also these dialogues, like in this or in these table views, like in the UI, normally you can see like the email address, you can see the subject right there, but you can see a lot more details. I just have it disabled because I don't want to like expose my actual email and stuff like that. But similar to this section, like normally you'd be able to see the tracking number here if you selected the tracking number. I could do this one though. But yeah, so you can basically see all that data in here very easily, and you can send it directly from your scraper template, the data that you scrape, to the inventory section. So I'm going to configure this like I normally would. You don't really need to mess with this one. The other data keys, this is if you have like a ton of data, like you're scraping like size and just I don't know, like raffle win information, stuff like that. If you have extra data that isn't applied by these fields, you can select it here. So I'm going to do like address here. The name, I'm going to do, I don't have a product name field, but if I did, I would put that there. I'm just going to put the order number there, or no, I'm going to put the address there as well. We're just going to pretend that's like a name. Order ID, put order number there. Notes is similar to other data keys, so I'm going to do quantity there. Item cost, it's going to be order total. And then if this was a shipping email, I would have a tracking number one that I would select. So we're just going to pretend that's a tracking number. And then you can hit save. And this is now configured to automatically send your data to the inventory section when it scrapes. In the options section, you have two different checkboxes. Automatically scrape mail. So this will just automatically look, like when you get new emails, your scraper will look and see if it matches up to your scraper. So like if a filter matches, let's say, and it will automatically scrape emails for you. This is a bit more resource intensive compared to having this disabled. So just keep this in mind. It can it can be a lot more intensive because it's constantly searching and potentially even constantly scraping your emails for data. Scrape all links is what it does is it does exactly what it says. It's every single link in your email, it scrapes it. And yeah. So if you want every single link in the email, like there are some cases where people might want this, you would enable that. And then once you're finished creating your template, you just hit create, you're good to go. So the other method for creating scraper templates is through AI, Scraper AI. The dialog is pretty similar. There's only a couple differences. The general one's exactly the same. The filters one is exactly the same. The elements one is where it starts to be different. And the way AI scraper templates work is you're basically writing a prompt that is telling ChatGPT what to look for in your email. So if it's like a weird email format, like I said, Supreme and even Walmart, sometimes regular scrapers won't work, but AI scrapers do. So all you're going to do differently is instead of like clicking order number here to like select the element, you're just going to type order number. And ChatGPT is going to look for the order number. Oh, there it is. And so they will be able to find it and select it. And so you're going to do that for every element you want. So like for here, 5 items, what I would put here is quantity items. And so that's basically telling it to look for items and the quantity of those items. And that will find that. And then you could do address, and that will look for the address in the email. And ChatGPT is able to like tell like, oh, this is an address. And you could do like order total. And it's going to know, oh, that's the order total. So just instead of selecting specific things in the email and like clicking it and like manually like telling Inbox what to scrape, you're telling ChatGPT what it should look for to tell us to scrape. And yeah, so I would try standard scraper templates first, and if they're not working for you, try AI. They're easier to use for sure, and yeah, when an email doesn't work with standard, it usually works with AI. Webhook format's the exact same, inventory is the exact same. The only different option you have here is include links for AI scraper. And what this one does is it includes all the links in the email body to be used by the AI scraper if it's searching for links. So you can't like when you're doing a regular scraper template, you can. I should have covered this actually, but if let's say I wanted to. Once this loads, let's say I wanted to like scrape the order URL here. So what you can do is you can click it, go to link, and it will like allow you to scrape the link directly. So you can get the link. You can't tell ChatGPT to look for a link in Scraper AI. So this basically makes it so that it'll also take links like this one. It'll also pull those, and not just like direct links like this and stuff like that. So yeah, that's an option that you can enable if you need that. Once you create your scraper templates, you can go to Tools and you can run it. One thing that I would do just to speed things up is if you know the subject of the email, like let's say it's like you're looking for Walmart order confirmations, you can just type thanks, and that's going to isolate only your order confirmation emails. So that way it's just only looking at those. Like I said, with filters, that helps a lot with speeding it up too. But this like kind of ensures you're isolating your emails to only the ones that you want to scrape. So yeah, so then you go to Tools, Run Mail Scraper, and you're just going to select the scraper, and you're going to run it. And once you do, it's going to either tell you it was successful or it failed. And if it was successful, it's going to send your data to the scraper data section. So a lot of people get confused with this because when you initially open this dialog or this section, this is what it looks like. And you're like, well, I just scraped my data. It says it was successful. Where's my data? All you need to do is click here, scraper templates, and then this is going to pop up. And so let's say pretend like this has Best Buy, Target, Walmart, Nike, whatever. There's a bunch of different scraper templates. Obviously, you don't want like all your data just displayed at the same time. Like this can be super confusing. So you can select the scraper template that you care about. Like for this case, I just made a Walmart one. You can select it, click Save, and it's only going to display that. And this is the one I made earlier and ran. And as you can see, it got the to email, it got the order number, the address, the total, and the quantity. And so all that data is here. I can view it here. I can easily copy it by clicking these icons. I can export it to CSV if I want, and that's going to export it. So if you prefer to view your stuff that way, you can do that. There's also a good amount of tools that you can use. Send to inventory, which is basically the exact same thing as when you configure it here. It's just if you didn't configure it there, you can configure it here. The other tools I'm not going to go over in depth because they're a bit more complex. I'm just going to cover like the important ones I think a lot of you will want to use. But yeah, you also have a good amount of other tools you can use here as well. Yeah, so that's how you view your emails. There is another cool feature called Combined Data Key. I covered this in depth in the last video we did, so I'm just going to be brief here. But if you wanted to keep track of your cancels, let's say, and like which of your order confirmations were canceled, you could make a cancel scraper template. And if there's something that's shared between the two of them, so let's say like order number, like the order number in your cancel email is going to be the same as the order number in your order confirmation email. So what you could do is, it's not going to work for this case because I don't have a cancel email, but you can select both the templates, and if something matches in them, so I'm going to do to email for this one because they match. If the to email matches, it's going to combine them into one row. So if this was like the cancel email or the cancel scraper template and the order scraper template and the order number matched, it would combine them into one row, and like there would be an element probably called like canceled. And then you would know that since the element shows canceled here, that order was canceled. So it's a good way to like know which of your orders was canceled, which one stuck. You can apply that to a ton of different like areas of scraper templates too. Like I said, scraper templates aren't isolated to only order confirmations and stuff like that. Like you can scrape any data you want for your emails. But yeah, that's one of the really cool features of scraper templates. But that pretty much covers scraper templates in depth. I'm going to look at questions real quick. And Yeah, so most of those questions I've either covered or I'll cover at the end. So we're just going to move on now to filters. So these filters aren't the ones in scraper templates, but this is actually in the filters section. So yeah, I'm going to cover that now. I just need to drink some water. Okay. Um, so filters. What are filters and why are they useful? Um, Filters are basically ways that you can isolate certain emails, and there's a ton of different parameters that you can use to isolate them. And the most common ways you'll probably use filters is by filtering your order information. Or this is what I do personally: order confirmations, shipping confirmations, cancel confirmations, everything related to orders. I have order filters for spam. I have spam filters set up, so like emails I don't want to see, I don't care about. Um, I make spam filters for them, and I either run the unsubscribe tool on them or I mass delete them. OTP codes. So if you ever need to like manually do your OTP codes instead of like scanning through all your emails, if you want them all fed into one section, you could do OTP code filters, and but you can pretty much do whatever you want with filters. And so let me show you some example of filters I have, and what like basically what they look like once you've created it. So this doesn't have all my emails, obviously. This is just like a demo that I created, but all of my Walmart order confirmation emails are all in this filter, which is basically like a folder. And so when I enable this, the only thing that shows up are emails that correlate with my filter. So if you go to orders, you can see I have a ton of different filters that I use that relate to orders. So if shipped is in the subject, order and shipped is in the subject, it goes to that filter section. If order delivery is in the subject, it goes to that filter section. Shop order, this one's like for Supreme. And these are just all tailored based on the various retailers I've ordered from. We have your tracking number, your package is on its way. Thanks for your order. Sorry we had to cancel your order. This just ensures everything related to orders is in one section, so I don't have to like, if I select everything here, I don't have like shop the latest statement, take our survey. Thanks for, oh, this is what I wanted to look for. Come home to the Walmart app. It's a lot of junk that I don't care about, which is just common when you get emails. But I only care about my orders. Boom, I select my order filter. Only orders are here. So filters are a really great way to stay organized. And they're also a really good way to clean up your inbox. So I'll export this so that people can take it from me. But I have a ton of filters created for emails I just don't care about. I don't want to see. I don't want to see emails with congratulations in the subject. Probably just some marketing spam I don't care about, or Cyber Weekend, or direct deposit. It might be like a scam email. And I just have Mother's Day. Like I don't need advertisements for Mother's Day. I care about my bonding right now. You can kind of like just do whatever you want here. Or let's say like you're using Inbox to manage like your work email, and you like you have a certain email sender, like your boss. When your boss emails you, you want to make sure it's all in one section so you can like quickly see like, oh shit, my boss emailed me. Here, let me look at it. You could set up a filter like that. You can do whatever you want. It's just a great way to stay organized. I have it for codes too. So like after a Walmart drop, what I do is I go to my emails, I select the codes, and I usually select spam too. And boom. So this shows like just a bunch of emails I don't care about. I select them all, tools. I type in delete or delete, and then I run the delete emails from mail server tool because I don't care about my Walmart code emails. I can delete them. I'm done. That drops over. There's going to be 10,000 more next week, anyways. So yeah. So it's just a good way to stay organized, isolate emails. Another really cool feature that we just added that you can do, and actually while I go over this, I'm just going to go over the dialog in full of how you create a filter, is the send webhook matching new emails. So I'll go over that after I go over the dialog. But to create a filter, you're going to go to the filter section, file, create. Almost everywhere in the program when you're creating something, like some sort of item that you're going to add to the UI, it's always going to be file, create. And the same kind of goes for the import export too. So for category, this is the category name is what's going to show up here. When you click custom filters, it's what's going to show up here. So as you can see, I have codes order spam, codes order spam. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is basically the folder filter name of where all the emails are going to go to. So for this one, I'm just going to name it demo. I already have really good ones created, so that should give a good example. And then you're going to give a nickname. So let's do, usually for the nickname, what I do is I just name it the same as the criteria. In almost all cases, I just use subject for the criteria. Because like Walmart sends you spam emails, but they also send you your order confirmation emails, so you can't just like say block Walmart, like the sender Walmart. You usually are going to do the subject. Yeah. So this is like the name you want to give it. I'm just going to write demo filter. For criteria, this is how we know, like this is basically you're telling us what to filter it by. So you have these two options, match all or match any criteria. Match all means that whatever you put here, it has to completely match. Match any means, let's say you put like order and shipping, as long as order or shipping is in the subject, like if you're, let's say you were doing a subject filter, it'll look for both of them. So I'm going to do match any. Test filter you'll do after this part, but for filter criteria, you have the option to mass create filter or criteria, or you can do create one. I'm going to do the mass one just because it's easier. You have these various types of filters that you can use. So like I said, majority of cases, you're probably going to want to do subject contains. But you can do whatever you want, whatever's easiest for you to filter your emails and make them easier to organize. You can do that with these. One thing that people have requested is like, how can I make it so like only like all of these emails go to one folder, like one filter. So I can just, when I click this filter, it only shows those emails from these accounts. So what you can do with this is you can use the mail account category it starts with. And if I only wanted to see emails from these accounts in this filter, I would just write Livestream QnA Gmail. And that way it will basically make a filter and it'll only show emails from that are in this category. But yeah, I'm going to do subject contains. I'm going to do thanks. I'm going to do, and thanks is so that I can get my Walmart emails. I can isolate them. I'm going to do, and we'll do delivery. Boom. And then I'm going to do the test filter. And boom. So this is telling me that there's 186 emails that match this filter. So 186 emails are going to be added to this custom filter that I'm making. And then once you have this configured, you're good in this section. You can go to options. You have a couple options here. So the first one is always show matching emails in the emails view. So what I've seen people do before is they make a filter and then they like forget that they made it. And so like they'll be in their non-filtered view and they'll be like, oh, I missed an email. I didn't, like, it's not here. Why isn't it here? I should have gotten it. When all along it was hiding in this filter category. So if you have this enabled, it will not only show it in the mail filter category, but it will also show in the all view, like, or the none filter by none, it'll show here as well. So you can enable that if you want to. It's optional. Send a webhook on matching the emails. So this one's really nice because you can almost like set up like a monitor with your emails. So like, let's say you're waiting for like a union raffle win. I think that was like a recent release, and you have to like manually check it out if you win, or like a Travis Scott raffle win. You could have this enabled, and when you get that, like you've won the Travis Scott raffle, like you can check out now. It'll send you a webhook that the email that email came in. So you can basically like set up like a little like an email monitor that notifies you when you get new emails. So yeah, you have this. Storage is this is a good one to clean up emails. So one of the reasons why Inbox kind of slows down, or not Inbox slows down, but your system slows down when you use Inbox is if you have way too many emails loaded in. Um, and so one way to like automatically just filter through emails you don't care about is to enable this. And this one only deletes the emails from the Inbox UI, so it'll like it won't delete them like directly from your account. Like you could still like sync your email or like go in the browser and look, and those emails will still be there. But if this was like a spam filter, for example, you could enable this, and it'll just automatically keep your inbox clean and won't stack up extra emails that you don't care about and slow it down. Um, there's also the automatically mark matching emails as important checkbox. And this ties into a setting that, let me find it, sorry. It's this one. Automatically delete mail after days. So like I said, if you have unneeded emails that you don't care about in inbox, you should like get rid of them just to speed up inbox and your device so you don't overload it. And when an email is marked as important, if you have this configured, it won't automatically delete the email. And like I said, this is just from Inbox. It's not deleting them from the IMAP servers. You can still view it in the browser. You could still sync again to get it back into Inbox. This is just to keep Inbox from slowing down. Anyway, so if you get an email that matches your filter and this is enabled, it marks it as important, and then this will not delete that email from Inbox. So this is like just a good way to keep everything quick running, but to make sure you don't delete emails you care about. The last section is the download section. This is mainly if you want to like automatically download emails as a PDF. So like, I don't know, if for whatever reason you're expecting an email to come in, you just want to get it into a PDF format, so and save it onto your computer, you can select a directory, and that's where the email data will be saved, and you can download it as PDF, or you can automatically download attachments. And yeah, when the email comes in that matches this filter, if you have these configured, it'll auto download. And then when you're finished, hit save. And you can't have these two enabled, so make sure you pick one or the other, because that wouldn't make sense if you're automatically trying to delete emails but they're marked as important, because it won't delete emails that are important. So yeah. And sorry, this dialog is also new to me. I haven't made a filter in a while outside of testing. So you do need to make sure you select a path to where you want email data to save if you want to configure these. So yeah, make sure you do that as well. Once you hit save, it's going to create the filter. And if we go to my new filter demo, you would see here's all my order confirmations. And I do have this filter created as well in the order section, so I can also view it in there. But yeah, that pretty much covers filters. I love to use them. It's the best way that I've found to keep my inbox organized, because I have thousands and thousands of accounts, and some people have like 50, 100, 200,000 Outlook accounts. And that's a lot of emails that you're going to get. So if most of people are using this for either order management or keeping track of raffle wins, stuff like that, you're going to want to make sure that you're organized and you can easily spot emails that you care about. And filters is a good way to do that. Yeah, so that's filters. We're going to move on to the next one, which is how to track packages with inventory. So one really cool feature that Inbox has is the inventory section, and I need some water, so one sec. Okay, so the inventory section is really cool. I think it's pretty slept on. A lot of people just focus on the mail section of Inbox, but inventory is really useful. and paired with emails and like the automatic inventory scraping from scraper templates and stuff like that, you can really utilize it. So the inventory section has a built-in shipment tracker. So like that, it supports tons of different delivery companies, pretty much every major delivery company, FedEx, UPS, USPS, DHL, etc. And even like you can track Shopify order confirmation URLs and like see the status of them. Like Taylor Swift, for example, a ton of you probably bought the CDs. Um, they didn't send out cancellation emails. They just canceled your order sometimes, but you had no idea which your orders were canceled. So what I did was scraped all my order confirmations and plugged them in here, and then I knew which orders were canceled, which stuck, etc. Um, yeah, so you can basically tracking status and all that with the inventory section. You can also just manage your inventory in there. So like I can't show my actual inventory in my main inbox on my local PC, but I literally have like every tracking number from any order I've ever made. I have it organized like by retailer, what's delivered, what hasn't delivered. Um, and it's just like a really useful resource for staying organized. Like if I know if I'm missing a package or if FedEx is slow to deliver one, I isolate FedEx because they're like my number one enemy with shipment providers right now. But yeah, you can basically easily keep track of your packages with Inbox, manage your inventory, and it just makes being organized as a reseller is really beneficial because there's so many factors that go into botting, like luck being one, having a good setup, having good quality proxies, accounts, server, bot. So the more organized, and there's also 10,000 other people doing the same thing as you. The more organized and prepared you are, the better your chances of success are going to be. So yeah, and I mean, once you hit everything, you're going to want to know when it's all coming in. You want to make sure you're not missing packages. So normally this would show the tracking number. I don't have it shown here because I don't want to dox my tracking numbers. But you can configure this in this options edit columns option is in pretty much every table view. And you can kind of configure what information you want to see. So like most of you would have tracking number selected. Pretty much everyone would. I do too, like on my main instance, and that'll show the tracking number. But you can select all these things if you are in the custom data type. I'm not going to click into it because I think it's going to show my tracking number, but um, if you were in this type and like you were scraping like let's say like the email address in the edit columns, there would be a column for email address here. Um, and yeah, so you can basically customize what's shown in the table view. So once you have your inventory items in to the inventory section, either by sending it through the mail scraper template, importing it via a CSV, and the easiest way to get the format is to create one inventory item manually and exporting it with file export. And then, like, if you have a CSV of your order information, you could just put it onto that CSV, import it in. Yeah, so once you have your inventory items added to Inbox, you can go to Tools. You can do Update Tracking Info, and that's going to start the tool, and it is going to update the tracking info status. Yeah, this server I just fresh installed, so it has to do some pre-prep, so it's a bit slower than normal. But you just let it run. You can hit run the background, boom, and you will see it updates the status. So these were delivered, and this one's out for delivery, so I'm just waiting for it to deliver. But yeah, this is like one of the most slept on features in Inbox, in my opinion. I use it every time I get a shipping confirmation. They automatically go here through the scraper template, and I have it. I just run the status update tool every day. We also have automatic status updates that you can configure in inventory tracking. So it'll automatically update for you. But yeah, inventory is awesome for shipment tracking, and you can even just track any inventory you want. So in-hand inventory you can track and stuff like that. But yeah. Um, Next one and final feature we're going to cover is And also, if you guys have questions, I'm going to go through the ones I didn't cover or that Arch didn't cover at the end, but we can go over them at the end. But next, we have the new AYCD webhook system. So AYCD webhooks has been around for a while through a web-based system. And basically, what it is and why it is useful is AYCD webhooks automatically handles rate limits. So Discord by default only lets you send 30 webhooks in a minute. So one webhook every 2 seconds. And let's say you hit 60 checkouts on whatever Walmart, or you got 60 carts on the site that where you like have to manually check out carts. That's more prevalent in like EU, but either way, whatever. We're just gonna pretend like let's say you hit 100 checkouts on Walmart in 1 minute. A lot of people like to see their webhooks. Some might even use it to manage how many orders they hit and stuff like that. Um, so what we do is if you get 100 webhooks in 1 minute, instead of you losing 40 webhooks, we automatically queue the webhooks so that it only sends one every 2 seconds. And so you'll start like on the 31st webhook, it's not going to come in within that minute, but it's going to come in eventually. So you just make sure you don't lose any webhooks. Some bots have this automatically implemented, but a lot don't. So it's a very useful feature. This was in the original web-based system that we had, and it's also in the new system. The Now, with the new system, we added a lot more features. We are planning on phasing out the old system for this new system, but the trade-off is that there's a lot more features and we can dedicate a lot more time to making it better and useful for people. Also, one feature I forgot to write here, so I am going to write it, is... Oh, no, I did. I just put it on number 4. Another cool feature is that you can send AYCD webhook messages to multiple Discord channels. So not only do we handle the rate limit, but let's say like you have your own personal webhook channel, and then you also like you're running ACO for someone, and they want to see your webhooks too, but you don't want to show them your personal webhook server or whatever. You can configure. You can have them send you a Discord webhook, and when a webhook message comes in and AYCD webhooks automatically forwards it to your Discord webhook, it can forward it to multiple. So yeah, that's another cool feature that it has. It's always had those two features, but now we'll get into the new features that we added. Also, this is in the beta build. This is like brand new. So yeah, but I've been testing it for like the past, I think we added it like 7-10 days ago, something like that. But I've been testing it. It works really well. I haven't lost any webhook messages yet or anything like that. But yeah, so I'm going to show you how to create them, and I'm going to show you the features that you can do with them. That was kind of like a preview on what you can do with it, but yeah. So the first thing you're going to do is go to File, Create, and the Create dialog will appear. So you can pick a category for the item. That's how it's going to show up here. Or actually, I'm not sure if that's valid, so ignore that. But you can pick a no, that doesn't apply to that. You can pick a category, and that's gonna apply to what shows up here. So I'm gonna name this one demo. Right now, I only have one for the demo, which is AYCD webhooks works with Refract, so I have it set up with Refract. So I'm just gonna pick one of our programs. So I'm gonna do Profile Builder, and this is basically the ID for the webhook. So I would name this whatever bot or application you're gonna put it into. Next is you're going to go to the forwarding section, and you're going to hit create, and this is going to bring up the create webhook forward item dialog. So this is basically where you add the Discord webhook where you want the AYCD webhook to forward to. So yeah, I'm going to name it like, this one was for Profile Builder, so I'm going to name it like Jake server, because this is going to my Discord server. I'll do Jake Discord server, and then here you would put your Discord URL. Let me see. Let me grab a fake one real quick. So yeah, boom, you're going to put your Discord URL there. You're going to paste that in. And then here you can configure the delay between sends. You can like really dial it down however you want. I would just leave it at 2. There's no reason to change it from 2. Discord's rate limit is 30 requests per minute. There's 60 seconds in a minute, so 30 times 2 is 60. Just put it to 2. Boom, and so then you've basically configured where your AYC webhook is going to forward to. Now you can do this as many times as you want. So like I said earlier, you can make it so that we forward to multiple webhooks if you want to. So if you wanted to get your ACO guy or I don't know, whatever you want to do, you can add as many webhooks as you want. I'm just going to do one for this example. The next section is scraping. So one really cool new feature that we added with the new AYC webhook system is you can scrape data directly from the webhook, before it or like while it forwards the webhook message to your Discord webhook. And so like here, for example, what I have, this is fake data, but I have it set up to automatically scrape my refract webhooks, like the Walmart checkout success webhooks. So it's scraping the price from the web, and I'll show you what one of those webhooks looks like. For context. Sorry, let me do this real quick. But yeah, basically you can take data. Oh, I don't have ShareX open. You can take data from your webhook and put it into the Inbox UI. So like here, for example, this is what the webhook looks like, and I'm taking the price from the webhook, so the price is right here. I'm taking the proxy from the webhook, the proxy is here, so I know which proxy I hit with. I'm taking the order number from the webhook, the order number is here. I'm taking the email from the webhook, and by webhook I mean the webhook message. Like this is the message. I'm taking the email from here, and I'm taking the product name. This does have the full product name in it. It's just long, and it's taking that from here. So you can apply that to like any webhook you want, whether it's like you got a cart for whatever thing you're botting. If you got a raffle win and the bot you're using is searching for wins, you can scrape that data and just put it directly into the Inbox UI. But yeah, the way you create the scraper is you can do it through here. This requires a bit more development or developer knowledge to use. So I would only do it from here if you're a developer and you know what you're doing. There's a much easier way to do it in the messages section. So I'm not going to cover this because it's complicated and you should just be using this section. If you're a developer and you know what you're doing, you know how to read JSON path and make regex patterns, stuff like that, you can do it in here. But yeah. And we're back to creating the webhook, by the way. That was just kind of covering scraping. But for the options section of the dialog, here you can configure when messages auto expire. So this basically determines how long these items here in the messages section are saved into Inbox. So if I set this to 30 days on March 12th, or 13th, these will automatically delete. So you can, and you don't want to leave them in there forever if you can avoid it, because it is just going to take up unnecessary memory. So yeah, I would set this to something that just whatever you need it to be set to. You don't need to keep it forever, but if you want to keep it forever, you can. Just remember it will lead to running out of application memory. Also, you have these two options, and the first one will delete messages automatically once they're successfully forwarded and scraped. And the second one is, this is a new one, I think, 'cause I don't remember configuring it. um, so this is kind of just another way to make sure that your device doesn't run out of memory and application storage. Um, so if you're, this is a lot more for like some big, I'm not going to name which bots do this, but there are some bots that literally use AYC webhooks for their checkout webhooks, like the global one for every single user. Uh, so this one's kind of like tailored towards them. It just, if you're getting like 10,000 webhooks in a day, you're probably going to want to enable this. But yeah, once you have this configured, you're going to hit save. We're going to pretend that this is the one that was created. And then boom, you have your webhook. So the way you can make sure your webhook works is by doing this, right click, or go to tools, send test webhook message. So this is going to bring like our default test webhook message. In almost all cases, you can just use our default. I mean, the only reason you're doing this is to make sure that your webhook properly, like it works, and that the message is actually going to send to your Discord channel. If you want, you can do like custom JSON setup. You should only be using this if you're a developer and know what you're doing. And 99% of the cases, you're just going to use this. So you just hit send. It's going to tell you that it completed it, and then the webhook will come in to the Discord channel. And yeah, so that is how you create a webhook. There's also a couple other tools. This tool is the reset health check status tool. What this one does is it resets the status here, and this one will remove expired webhook messages. These two are kind of just to keep everything cleaned up. You don't really need to mess with them much. They're just optional for you. Boom. And so then this is where this is the fun section. This is a section that I think is really cool. It's the messages section. So basically every time a webhook is forwarded successfully, or like we detect a webhook came in that we're going to forward, it goes here in the messages section. So when you're in the all view, it's just going to show you that the message came in. It's going to tell you the status, if it was successful, and if it scraped any data from the message or not. So like on my setup, I have like a couple different bots here. I have all the AYCD applications, so it's a lot more content is here. So now if you click into a specific category, this shows a lot more data. So this is the test I just did. I'm gonna delete this one. But yeah, so let's say this is just a bunch of bot successful checkouts from like a Walmart release. What you can do is when you're in this all view, you can do tools and you can do configure scraper for webhook. So when I said earlier that you should only do the scraper in here if you're a developer, for every other regular user, this is where you're going to configure your scraper. This is where I configure my scraper. It's way easier to do. So you're going to select this, hit start, and then this is going to pop up. Normally this will be blank, but I already created some scrapers. So I'm not going to delete that. Well, actually, yeah, I just want to hit save. So I'm going to clear this so it's like I'm setting up a brand new one. So on the left-hand side, this is the data from the webhook that we forwarded. This is all fake data, by the way, so don't worry about that. So yeah, so in this webhook, what data do I care about? I want to know what product I hit. So I'm going to select the product. I'm going to select the value. I'm going to hit create. And this is going to pop up. So the first section is the nickname. This is going to correlate with what shows up here. So this is the product. I'm going to do product here. Formatters. So the format of webhooks is in like JSON format, so it's like coding. Most of you aren't going to want to see all this extra stuff. You don't care about these brackets. You don't care about the link. You just want to know the product name. So we have some formatters to clean it up basically for you. So there's a ton of different ones. If you do this one, it's going to only get the product name for you. And it's gonna depend on what data is showing here is how they function. So if you only wanted the URL, it's only going to grab the URL from that, like if you wanted the item URL. If you just wanted to remove symbols, it's going to remove all the symbols with that one. And yeah, there's a ton of different ones that you can do. What I would do is just kind of try them until you get the data looking how you want it. And if these don't work for you, the reject section should be able to help you even further trim down your data so it looks good to how you want it to. So I'm not going to select one here. But yeah, so now there's this reject section. This is basically a way to trim and clean up your data so that it's easier to read and digest. If you are a developer, you can use this part where you can create your own regex code. Most people won't know how to do this. You can like have ChatGPT do it, but we have it built into the program, so it's way easier to do. So if you click into regex extract AI helper, this basically makes it so you can create a regex pattern through AI. So if these formatters don't work for you, because this is going to be easier in like every case and quicker, but if they don't work for you for some reason, you can try to make a regex pattern here. So I'm going to do one where it's called link. Now, these might not work perfectly, but I'm just going to like kind of show you like the trial of error of what you would do to do this. So I'm typing in link there because my goal is to get this link out of the text. So type that. It's going to generate the regex. That's like a confirmation dialog telling you that it wanted to do it, or that what it's going to do, and boom, it's going to try to do it. So this didn't work for me. It just didn't work. So now I'm going to try a different one. I'm going to do Pokemon, and let's see if that works. We're going to hit proceed, and boom. So that worked, but it's only looking for Pokemon. So I'm going to hit reset here, and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to copy the entire thing. And then I'm going to do generate, and then boom. And this one didn't work well either. But there are going to be cases where this doesn't work, and you can make a regex pattern that does work really well. So let's try to do text, no symbols. Let's do that. You're basically trying to tell AI how to clean up this data. So like, there's just a variety of things you need to try, but these should cover. Okay, see, so this one did work. This removed all the symbols and it got the text that I care about. But in most cases, you can just do this, and boom, this got everything that I wanted. It's clean, it's easy to do, and yeah. Another cool feature that we just integrated is the ability to automatically send extracted data to certain areas of inventory. So this one, for example, is the product name. So if I assign it to inventory item name, it'll automatically send to the inventory section, and this info will be inputted into the name section in inventory as an item. But yeah, if you're scraping information that like is like it relates to something that's already in the inventory section, like I don't know, maybe you're running like the order fetching tool in Profile Builder, or just something that's like updating a status for you of something that's already in the inventory section, you can enable this, and this will update an existing item instead of creating a new inventory item for you. But yeah, this is going to be covered a lot more in depth in the guide, the written guide, once I add it or once I update it. But yeah, so this is what this section relates to. The main section you're probably going to be in is this one, and hopefully the formatter works well for you. But yeah, you're going to do this for each configure scraper that you want to create. So I'm going to do one that matches this. So I want the product name. I want the proxy. Also, I changed my proxy web or password, so no, you cannot finesse me and take my proxy data. We're going to do proxy here. Let's see if I can get one that works for my case. So let's see what this one does. It doesn't do anything. What does this one do? It doesn't do anything. This one removes symbols, but it's still kind of confusing. This one doesn't work. This one doesn't work. This one doesn't work. So this is where rejects, we do need to use it. So let's try just putting in proxy. Let's see if ChatGPT can detect that this is a proxy. It doesn't, so we're going to reset it. Let's try doing HTTP : because this is going to be the format it is in for a lot of webhooks. Boom, that worked perfectly. That got rid of all the extra crap I don't care about, and it's only taking the proxy. So yeah, that's one example of a way you can use rejects. You can also do it to remove info after you've extracted it, which it's kind of similar to this. It's just instead of doing it before it extracts, it's doing it after it extracted. So yeah, and then the send to is the same. I'm going to leave it like this because I like how it is. The other info I cared about was the order number. So for this one, I'm going to do order number. Let's see if any of these will work. That works perfectly. So we're going to do that. Boom. What else do I have here? Price. Let's do one for price. Wait, but I need to select the price over here. So let's find where price is in the webhook. There it is. Price. This one's already formatted perfectly. I don't need to do anything. Hit save. And the last thing I want to grab is the email right here. Boom. Email. I don't want to see these two lines. So let's do remove all symbols. Oh, but that removes the ats. Let's do remove Discord spoiler tag. Boom. That keeps the at. And there we go. We have all the data that I care about. You are able to not in this update that I'm on, but before we push this to the live version, you are going to be able to reorder these by dragging and dropping them. So like it's going to be laid out exactly like this, where you can drag these around, and it changes the order of what it is in the messages section in the UI. So just keep that in mind. But once you're finished with this, you can hit save. I'm not going to because I already have it made. And then it will automatically run on future received webhooks. And if you already have a bunch of webhooks that like came in, what you can do is you can do tools, retry scraping, and it will basically run the scraper and fill up with all the data relevant to the scraper. But yeah, that pretty much covers webhook scraping. It's a brand new feature. It's really useful if you want to like keep track of data. I know a lot of you love to just keep track of your data via webhooks instead of webhook messages instead of email. This is a good way to do it. And it's universal to it should work on every bot because we use the exact same format as Discord. If it doesn't work in a bot, and also you should always test before you run a drop and make sure it works. And if it doesn't work, like just with test webhook, and if it doesn't work, just reach out to that bot, say, hey, I'm trying to use this webhook in the bot. They use the same format as Discord. Here's an example URL, and give them the URL. The bot probably is like only looking for Discord in the URL or something that prevents it from sending. And so yeah, they probably just need to make a small update, and then it should work fine because we use the same format. But yeah, that is the new webhook system, and that is a pretty big overview of Inbox and a ton of useful features that Inbox offers. I'm going to briefly go over utilities, which is a new section we added to pretty much every application, and then I'll go over some final questions. K-Town just asked a really good question, is will the AYCD webhooks that I already created on the site still work? So we will be deprecating the old webhook system in, I believe it's like in a month or something, but it says on the website. But we made it really easy to add your old webhooks into Inbox. So you can export them from the website dashboard, and you can just go here, import JSON. You can import them right into Inbox. Keep in mind, in order for webhooks, AYC webhooks to work, you need Inbox open. It doesn't need to be open on the same device as your bot. So like if you're running on a server, you can just throw Inbox on your local and it'll still forward properly, no issues. But yeah, it does need to be open. Um, yeah, so that is pretty much Inbox. The next section I'm going to go over is utilities. This was added to every application, and it's just some useful utilities that a lot of resellers or people who are just managing accounts can probably benefit from. I use this section pretty much every Walmart drop. But yeah, so there's just a bunch of different tools you can do. You can do this if you want to create dot trick emails. Um, and this will just generate you some dot trick or plus trick emails. You can generate catch-all emails in bulk. You can see if there's duplicates in a list. Like if you have a bunch of proxies and you're unsure if you pasted the same list twice, you can check with this, or you can automatically remove duplicates with this. This is the one that is my favorite. Um, One tip that I have for everyone botting. Sorry, my throat is killing me. The flu's like catching up. But one one suggestion I have if you're a botter is to diversify. And so what I mean by that is, here's a really good example. Walmart, up until like I don't know if it was this week or last week, but within the past 2 to 3 drops, um, they changed it to where your queue proxy, if you're using a Resi, you it seems like you're more successful in getting a better queue time if you're on a Resi proxy for when you enter the queue. But up until the last like 2 to 3 drops, that was absolutely not the case. ISPs completely dominated in getting a good queue time. And so like if you were running like 100% ISPs for your queue proxy, like that's like a fairly logical thing to do. Like they've been working perfectly. Like why would they not work on this drop? Um, but then randomly, Resis became dominant, and if you were running ISPs only for your queue proxies, you got horrible queue times. You probably struggled to hit on the past couple drops. So one thing that I've been doing, and I've been preaching in our old cook group AYC Pro when I used to do live streams for them to go over botting, but the number one thing I always preached was to have a diverse setup. You There are times when like just like what Walmart did, where Resis dominate in the queue versus ISPs. That can happen like any time on any site, like at Shopify. You don't know if a shot's. I don't bot Shopify heavily, but before you weren't always guaranteed to know if a site was going to use proxy protection or not. So you could like only run proxies that work on proxy protection, or what I would do, and this applies to the queue, is you can mix some residential proxies that work on proxy protection or that work on queue, and you can also mix in some ISPs. So that way, if proxy protection is disabled, or if Walmart's letting ISPs get better queue times, at least something in your proxy list is going to be successful. So what I do every single drop is I have a list of Resis, I have a list of my ISPs. I decide like a percentage in my head. So like before I was doing 50-50 ISPs to Resis on Walmart, because at least 50% of my tasks would be on ISPs. And in the off chance that Resis do better, I still have 50% of my tasks on Resis, and those will be entering queue with Resis. And so I mix them all. And so like when Walmart switched to Resis dominating on queue, I was fine because half of my tasks were all on Resis. I didn't have any issues. But most people who were full sending ISPs had horrible queue times and didn't do well. So because I diversified, I had much better success. So anyway, the whole point of this is what I do is I take all my proxies, I mix them together, I paste them into here, and I shuffle the list, and then it mixes them all together, and just makes it easier to add to my bots. So that's one way you can use this section in botting and how it's useful, but you can use this for pretty much anything you want. But yeah, that's like just a brief overview of utilities, and we're gonna start to end it off, but I will go over some questions and then we will cut the live stream and the Q&A. It'll be over. So let's see. This doesn't expose anything bad. Yep, that's fine. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna just be going over questions now. So if you're here just for the inbox like overview, that's done. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube as soon as this live stream is over. So if you came late or you just want to go over it again, use just to learn inbox more, you'll be able to access it later. Arch covered a lot of these already. So you could use capsule emails for your forwarding emails as well. I haven't tried it before. This is for Outlook. L, or that might be a J, but yeah, you have the option to use it for both. I've never tried it, so I don't know how well it works. I just forward to Gmails, and that seems to be easiest for me. How do you scrape emails from iCloud? It's going to be the exact same way you would for any email provider. You just need to make sure the emails are showing in the email section, and then you just select the email you want to create the template for, create the mail scraper template, you're good to go. Who created AYCD? Fuzzy and I were the original founders. And then, yeah. Do email filters work with aliases? Is in the receiving address isn't explicitly listed as an account? It depends on how you do your filter. So like if you're just filtering by subject, yes, because it doesn't care where the email is being sent to. It just cares about what's in the subject. So it really just depends on what filter you do. Is this going to be on the AYCIO YouTube channel? Yeah. I'll tag everyone in announcements once it's posted. But yeah. I'll also send the spam filter list to people. Can you merge webhook data with inventory based on order number? Yes, we covered that. You do that in this section. You do that here in the send to when you're configuring the webhook scraper. Curious about royalty S, but there's a second at the end. Yeah, if you had that question, just feel free to ask. Can you retry scraping webhooks for a specified date range? You can't like there's no like parameter to do that, but all you would need to do is like pick your dates based on here and just like select them and run it. One thing that people don't I think know is that you can click headers at the top and it sorts it in ABC order. So like one really useful area where that's nice is like when you're doing something in like an account section where there's statuses that you want to sort by. Like let's say like you had proxy issues in some of your accounts and they all have like a proxy error status or something, some error status. You can sort by that and it'll put them in ABC order, so they'll all be next to each other, so you can easily like mass select them. But yeah, that's basically what I would do. Walmart successful stick tracker for inbox. So like you can pretty much already do that through mail scraper templates. You can do it through webhooks. But mail scraper templates is going to be the main one. It requires like a little more work. You got to create 2 scraper templates, one for cancels, one for orders, and then you just use the combined data key and that's it. But yeah, you can already do that. You can also, we have order trackers for Walmart in Profile Builder that like literally logs into the account and checks your orders. So you can do it in there as well. I might answer that at the end once we cover all the AYCD questions. That's also one that I would answer at the end. If I'm not wrong, even if I don't set up send to inventory for the webhook servers, it'll still send empty data to okay, so that looks like it was just a bug from the beta. How do you use it? It's an RDP manager. Yeah, so Royalty S is like, it's basically like any like Microsoft Remote Desktop. It's just like, I'm not going to click into my servers because I don't remember what was last opened on them, but it just organizes your servers like Google Chrome tabs. So like if I had all 4 of these open, there would be just like a Google Chrome tab for each of them, and you can just click into them. So if you're running multiple servers, it's really nice. I like it. I've been using it for like 4 years. It's free for up to 10 items here, like so 10 servers. So yeah, it's pretty nice, and it has other features like Hobbs mentioned. Uh, I don't know about them, but yeah, that's what I use it for. Yeah, okay, so I am going to cut the recording short. I'll answer a couple of these Walmart questions as well, but I'm not going to include those in the recording. Thank you guys for coming to the live stream. I hope it helped with the setup for Inbox. I'm going to do another one of these in probably 1 or 2 weeks because we have a pretty big profile builder update coming. That's going to change up the UI a bit and add some more features and stuff like that. So it should be a useful resource for you guys. But yeah, if you guys have questions or want any clarity on anything we talked about in the live stream, or just questions overall about AYCD, ask away. We want to help people understand how to use the application to its fullest. AYCD has tons of features, way more features than people even are aware of or use entirely, and we want people to use them. So if you ever are confused on if AYCD is capable of doing something, or if you're using a feature to its fullest, ask us and we will tell you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. All we ask is that you at least put in a little bit of effort and look at guides, search in Discord, see if someone else has asked your question, just because the less repetitive questions that could be answered on your own that are asked, the more detail and energy we can put into unique questions that are asked. But yeah, we'll never get mad at you for asking a question. Just make sure you try to at least look it up yourself. Yeah, it seems like this flu season was not. It seemed like it affected a lot of people. But yeah, I'm gonna cut the recording there.